welcome back to another Block Studio 3 educational course. This course, we're going to go over what is blockchain. So we're going to go over the basic idea of what a blockchain is. This is going to be a very simplified version so that it's easy to understand. We're not going to get too much in the technical details of how a blockchain works. But a blockchain is the fundamental technology that makes Web3 possible. If you remember us talking about Web3 in the last course, we were talking that Web3 is basically the era of the internet that allows us to have digital ownership of digital products. Now, the idea of owning something digital and something that isn't physical and that we can hold is hard to understand. But blockchain, once we understand this concept of how this new technology works, should give us a better understanding of how things like NFTs and cryptocurrency are all possible. So blockchain is what makes digital ownership possible through something called digital ledger. It's basically a permanent history of transactions that happen on the blockchain, and it's all recorded. No one can manipulate, change, or kind of falsify any information that goes on the blockchain. What happens on the blockchain is recorded and is permanently there, so we can always look back at the history of what has happened on that blockchain. So again, it keeps something called a digital ledger, which is the history of transactions that happens on that blockchain. It cannot be manipulated, and this allows us to verify and authenticate digital items. So a quick example, let me just move myself here. Let's just say I create a digital item and send it to my friend. Then my friend sells that digital item to someone else for $10. Now this is all going to be recorded on the digital ledger, and we can access this information on the blockchain whenever we want, so we can see who owns the digital item, where it came from, who created it, right? So if we go through that example again, right? I create a digital item. So on the blockchain, you can see step one right here. I created a digital item. So on the blockchain, that gets recorded that I have created this digital item. Now, number two, I send that digital item to my friend. That also gets recorded. So if we were to look back at the blockchain, we can now see that my friend owns this digital item. I no longer own it, but I was the creator of it. Then my friend decides to sell that digital item to someone else for $10. So you can see my friend now has received $10 that's recorded on the blockchain, and that new person is now sent that digital item. So now if we look at the transaction history of the blockchain, we know that this new person owns the digital item. My friend now owns $10 because he was sent $10 in exchange for that digital item. And I am still the creator of that digital item. So on a blockchain, this history is kept there forever, permanently, and we can always go back and double check who is the owner of an item. Was it sold to them? Was it transferred to them? All this information allows us to say, hey, this person is now the new owner of this digital item. Even though I created the digital item, I do not own it because I have sent ownership to my friend, and my friend has now sent ownership to someone else. So in conclusion, again, blockchain is the foundational technology that makes Web3 possible, and through that, we can have something called digital ownership. The digital ledger is a history of transactions that happens on the blockchain, and that history cannot be manipulated, cannot be changed, and it is there forever. And because of that, we can verify who owns certain digital items, and we can verify who the owners are. And we also have authentication because we can authenticate the creator of that digital item, and we can also see the past of who owned that item before and who was the original creator of it. So again, blockchain technology is a very, very important foundational piece that makes everything from cryptocurrency to NFTs possible. Now, again, this wasn't a technical explanation of blockchain. If you do want to learn more, I highly suggest searching up what blockchain is. It's going to give you a real good breakdown of how you can technically understand the things like cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and NFTs. But I hope this simplified version made it easy. In the next course, we'll talk a little bit more about what NFTs are.